Welcome back. At least 10 people were killed and 15 wounded in a train collision in Beira province north of Egypt. According to the country's health ministry, the cause of the accident is not immediately clear, but said to be between a freight and a passenger train. Well, this comes after 41 people died in a train collision near Alexandria August last year. This was the deadliest train mishap in Egypt since a crash between a train and a bus killed 27 people south of Cairo. The Associated Press reports that such accidents are far from uncommon, noting that 1,249 deaths occurred last year alone. Libya is planning to hold elections come December later this year. Preparations are on top gear as the country's electoral commission registers eligible voters. The UN is the forerunner of bringing lasting peace to the country, as Libya's High Council of State has called on the Arab League to stand firmly against those who obstruct the implementation of a UN-sponsored political agreement. Well, the agreement was signed by the Libyan political factions in December 2015. It appointed the government of national accord aimed at ending the political division in the country, yet the country has remained in a political crisis amid insecurity and chaos. Well, for more perspective on the forthcoming elections in Libya, our African Affairs analyst Okwe Okpala joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Okpala. The international community, including the United Nations, seems determined to organize an election for Libya come the end of the year, mid-February. Well, the Electoral Commission opened a 2-month registration for voters inside troubled Libya. How realistic are these election plans?
I think that election is not an almighty formula that solves all problems. For Libya, there is need for confidence building before an election will be acceptable and they will usher in peace. I don't think as at now, with preparation of small arms and with the factions here and there who don't quite understand, who don't quite want to see eye to eye with each other, that any election will not end up in disputation or even escalate the crisis. I think there is need for more confidence building before elections will eventually come in and the rest will be accepted and it will usher in peace. For now,
Okay, Mr. Okpala, it's also more than 6 years after Muammar Gaddafi was ousted. The country still remains under a myriad of rival armed groups battling for the center. Do you see an end to the political stalemate? Do you see peace returning to Libya anytime soon?
Things were very optimistic, but they require hard work. I require cool head. And it requires some sacrifice by international communities and by even Libyans themselves. Libyans must bear peace and international community must assist them to bring it about. But the reconciliation among the armed groups and among the chieftains of these armed groups should be pursued at whatever cost, so that Libyans can see themselves as members of one nation. And then it's only after that they can reunite, and then the under one government, and they will see that government, everybody within the country will see that government as a legitimate government that can make laws and it will be obeyed by all.
I believe the ballot box could unite Libya, while some say it's more likely to tear the country apart. What do you think?
Well, both sides are correct. The ballot box can unite, but they doing it quite early, where we don't even agree on the basic procedure, on the basic things. When so many people, when there are so much disagreement and disputations on even the basis of holding that election, then the election system will not solve any problem. So those preliminary objections should be resolved first before election, and so that the election will indeed usher in peace. Ballot box on its own can even interpret the problem instead of solving it.
We also understand that late Colonel Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, has declared his intention to contest the presidential election. Do you see him becoming Libya's next president?
Okay, fine. Muammar Gaddafi's son is...
All right, I believe we lost Mr. Okwe Okpala there. Well, many thanks. Let's move over right now to the story of the thwarted migrants as they are returning to Gambia, straining its fledgling government as officials scramble to get European-funded reintegration projects up and running.
They come from a tiny, impoverished country on West Africa's coast, Gambia, jobless, restless and frustrated. These young Gambians gave up their life savings to pay for the journey from their country to Europe. They join an exodus of young men willing to sacrifice everything to leave.
We are all frustrated right now. And what I'm seeing, if there's no changes, I think that we just still have a stand as a man. God is there. God is there for us. We'll still, bust up the road again and see what God will do.
Thousands of thwarted migrants like them are returning to Gambia. They see no future for themselves after being robbed, beaten and locked in a Libyan prison for several months. They found themselves back where they started, in Gambia, with no job prospects and empty pockets. President Adama Barrow took office a year ago, ending former leader Yahya Jammeh's 22 years of autocratic rule, and he's under pressure to deliver on promises of sweeping economic reforms.
There are limited opportunities available here. There is nothing we can do. If there is something that we can do also, it's taking time to reach us, because till now we don't see anything.
We need help. We need the Gambian people to help us. We need the government to help us. But why are they not helping us?
According to the UN agency, nearly 2,500 Gambians were flown home by the International Organization for Migration last year, most of them pulled out of prisons in Libya after reports emerged of Africans being sold in slave markets in the country.
When they come back, they receive reintegration assistance from the International Organization for Migration, IOM. They receive a bit of money so that they can travel back to their families. And the IOM tries to keep track of them, but due to the very high numbers of returnees and the increasing speed of returning planes, it is difficult for them to keep track of all of them because there is quite a high backlog.
The Gambian government has just launched its National Development Plan to provide a turnaround for the economy.
I must say that there are commitments at the level of government to ensure that young people in this country have access to decent jobs moving forward. And we hope that we'll be able to receive support from our development partners, bilateral partners, and also put in with our current policies with the launching of the National Development Plan to provide a turnaround for our economy so that it will be able to finance increased funding for social services, but also income-generating ventures that young people can benefit from.
Out of the 2,435 migrants who returned to Gambia in 2017, only 170 so far have received reintegration packages from the IOM, which accounts for funding for education or business startups.
Zimbabwe's mining minister Winston Chitando says his country has the capacity to boost its lithium supply and could make available 20% of the global demand. Winston made the remark at a mining investment conference in Harare. The Southern African nation is a top 10 producer of lithium and alkali metal used in batteries for electric vehicles. Zimbabwe aims to restart its mining sector following years of lull under former President Robert Mugabe. The new president is keen to attract fresh capital into its mining sector and is pushing lithium as a major draw. And that's it on Network Africa. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.